Welcome back. Welcome back to a fresh new episode of Three the Hallway. I am Tariq Rashad here with married man Rob with a bachelor's in arts and science.
You smart.
John's on the beach. What you going?
Palm Tree John, baby.
Palm Tree John today.
Yeah, man, cool with his Knicks.
Damn.
Why you bringing up old?
He can't cool with his Knicks.
I beat the shit out one of these niggas. Boy.
Oh man, we got a good slate of topics today, sticking primarily with the NBA and the NFL. Starting in the NBA, we're gonna talk about some Team USA, NBA Finals, and also right around the corner, as soon as the finals is over, teams start developing to get ready for the next season. So we're gonna talk about free agency and who we think is the biggest free agent headed into the market this year. So let's get into it, man. I think we should start with Team USA. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. Down 0-2, 1 L to Argentina, 1 L to 1 L to Australia, 1 L to Nigeria. Not looking good, not scoring that many points. I'm gonna let y'all jump into this before I share my sentiments.
I'm gonna jump into it because I already know what my co-host Jonathan Lamar gonna say. But I probably will have to agree with you, man, on this one, dog. It might be time for Popovich to go in Team USA, man. Like, listen, we're not supposed to lose to Argentina. I'm sorry, Australia. We're not supposed to lose to Nigeria with one NBA. I don't care if we had the backups for our Team B. Ain't no way in the world we're supposed to lose it or not. And I don't care if it's an exhibition game. To me, that leads to one thing and one thing only. It's not talent. It's not the talent. It ain't the general manager because we got the players. It's the coach. And what I see from Team USA is just a lack of hunger and a lack of understanding that, we got to take these games seriously. Like, although it's not the Olympics, like we need to dominate and exert our will. And I don't see that with Team USA. I just don't see it. So I blame Popovich.
I say pump the brakes, man. Hold on. Don't panic. Let's not panic. Let's not forget that they had their first practice on July 6th. What's today's date? The 14th. It's not like these guys were FIBA players either. It's not like last year they was practicing and building chemistry as a typical Team USA does. It's not like they had mini camps and pro camps where they can get together and have group chats and talk and all that stuff. There hasn't been any of that. COVID is a real thing. Not playing together is a real thing. When you got players that's been on teams like a Luis Scola who's been on Team Argentina since he was 15 years old and been playing in that circuit for about 15 years, right? And these other guys have been playing in their countries together as a unit. Team basketball win games, and that's what you saw. Team USA was trying to play one-on-one basketball. Let me tell y'all something right now. When I say stats are inflated, just go look at the international game. Look at the international game. They was looking, the Team NBA looks so off out of their game because it's a different league. The game is way more physical. They're not getting the calls that they were supposed to get. You can tell it, they're staring down refs. The refs was like, I'm not giving you that. Go on the bucket. This ain't the league. You got to earn it. And guess what? In the NBA and FIBA basketball, you can be three in the key. There's no open paint. So that's what you got to do. There is no ISO basketball. That's what you got in the Team USA. A whole bunch of ISO players. So, yeah, you can blame coaching. Yeah, you can talk about that. But they have to gel together as a team. They have to understand their roles. They have to define the're roles. You're talking about 5 guys that came off of being the main guy. There's only one member that was on the Team USA 2016 team, and that's Kevin Durant. So I say pump the brakes.
I hear you, John. I do want to acknowledge the fact that the game is a lot different. Like you said, the fouls are not ticky-tack calls. You actually have to play basketball. You have to fight through the screen. You're not getting any throw your neck back fouls in that area. The court is smaller, so when you add the fact that there is no defensive 3 seconds, people can sit in the paint and they can recover in time enough to get back to the paint if necessary defensively. So when you do play a lot of ISO basketball, you have to be that much more precise, that much more better than your defenders to score. And like you said, Team USA has been a little a lot of these guys are coming off of playoff runs. They haven't played together. Whereas you have guys like Luis Scollo's been playing for his country. He's 41 years old now, still playing basketball nationally. Amazing, but we have a different circuit or circle of basketball life here in America. With all that being said, Kevin Durant is supposed to be the best basketball player in the league, is he not? He's supposed to be the best basketball player in the world, is he not? He is playing side by side with some of the best athletes, some of the most electrifying players that we have in the NBA. And to hear you say pump the brakes as if they're not supposed to win these games, granted, maybe they're not supposed to be easy. Maybe they're not. Maybe it's going to take time to gel. But damn it, Team USA is supposed to be a 20 to 30 point favorite in every single game they play. I don't care what nation you're talking about. That's how I feel about this basketball team. That's how I feel about the players that we produce out of the NBA or out of America. So I don't want to hear they got to get it together. They got to get it together to win it all. Yeah, to string together all the wins in the row that they'll need to string together to get the gold medal. But they should not be in trouble down 0-2. There's no way that you're justifying or accepting losing 2 games to start the exhibition or the season or before group play begins. It's unacceptable, bro. And granted, there are reasons why it should be close or it should be tough, but I'm not hearing it. They're supposed to be winning, brother.
I'm not gonna let you do that to Kevin Durant. He's one person. But let's not just put the blame on Kevin Durant. This is words coming out of Ty's mouth.
I hope you watched the video when we see it. When I said Kevin Durant, followed by a ton of other NBA All-Stars. Did I not? I didn't use the word All-Stars.
Yes, he did.
No,
I said a whole bunch of NBA talent, and he's the leader. Like you said earlier, bro. He played on Team USA. He's the one that's experienced. And it's not like they're losing games because teams are blowing them out. He's supposed to be the closer. They're losing by 5. They're losing by 7. They're not even scoring 100 points. It's ridiculous.
Ty, you have to establish those roles. You know that as a team player. You know that. You have to establish those roles. When you have Dame Time, who is a closer as well, and you have Kevin Durant, you have to learn who's going to be the closer. You know that more than anybody with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade in Miami. So that has to be established over time. That's not something that's manufactured overnight.
Patty Mills wouldn't even make Team USA. Precious Achia wouldn't even be on the practice squad. I don't understand how we losing to people who wouldn't even make the B team for us. That's my thing. I don't care if it's Kevin Durant. I don't care if it's LeBron James. I don't care if it was Anthony Davis on one leg. We're supposed to win. That's the thing that.
And what happened when they play Argentina?
We were about to have beat Argentina.
Won. We beat them by 20. By 20 because they had games underneath their belt and they learned.
How many more games are they going to lose? How many more games are they going to lose between now and the gold medal? They're never losing. They're not losing again.
They're not losing another game.
I agree with you. They shouldn't lose again. But if they do, I want you to come here and give it to them how they're supposed to get it. Because I'm sick of you trying to baby Kevin Durant and the rest of Team USA, like your favorite players, like Damian Lillard, when they're not doing good, and they're hyping them, overhyping them when they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So if they do what they're supposed to do, great. That's what we expected when we first came in. Last week when we talked about Team USA, you ain't have them losing to Nigeria. You ain't have them losing to Australia. A 20-point victory is supposed to be a regular victory against Argentina. It's not supposed to be something to be, yeah, they beat Argentina. Hell no, it's Team USA.
I'm not saying they beat Argentina. I'm saying as a result of them playing together and defining their roles, you see the difference between game 2 and game 3. Major difference. And Argentina is a way better team than both of those teams combined. So if that's the case and they're going to play like this moving forward, that's my expectation. I'm not going to be unrealistic with my expectations and ask for a team that's just been thrown together. And like I said, July 6th, maybe only 3 practices. Come on.
Hey, I hear you, but you just said they're not going to lose another game. You just said they're not going to lose another game, correct?
I said that, yeah.
Remember that.
All right. Okay, hey, Rob. Finish this off.
I just don't think it's unrealistic to have an expectation of Team USA to beat Australia, to beat Nigeria. I don't think that's unrealistic at all, especially when you look at the talent gap that we have. I don't think that's unrealistic.
First and foremost, let me say this: the world is catching up to the NBA.
John, we gotta move on.
I'm saying this last thing: the world's catching up to the NBA. I don't think you guys are giving enough credit to these international players and their stars in their own rights. I'm just gonna leave that right where it's at. Even Greg Popovich said that. Greg Popovich said the way that you're talking about, he's talking to a reporter, the way that you're disrespecting these teams, y'all haven't watched basketball, so just be careful what y'all say.
All I know is that Patty Mills is a backup for the Spurs, and he ain't never made no All-Star team.
My point made.
All right.
All right. Moving on to free agency. A lot of teams in the NBA want to change what happened. Phoenix and change what happened for them this year. Phoenix and Milwaukee probably weren't the overwhelming favorites going into the finals this year. So a lot of teams didn't. They fell short of what they wanted to accomplish. There's other teams that moved up miraculously outside of Phoenix, but are on the right path and moving towards playoff contention, maybe even championship contention. Is there a player in the free agent market right now going into next year that can really make a difference for a championship contending team or potentially push a team over that next ring?
I'm gonna go with Lonzo Ball, man. I'm gonna go with Lonzo. I think that in a league full of guards, point guards, you need a guard that can counterbalance that. And I think that Lonzo Ball's length, his ability now, he changed his form to knock down threes, his ability to play defense and play make, push the tempo. He'll be perfect for a team like the Lakers now, right? They're calling him back, Rob. They're calling Lonzo back. You know what I mean? Big Ball about to be back in LA, maybe, or the Clippers. They call him the LA Lakers or the Clippers. He's high in demand right now. I think that he definitely can put another team over the top. Just chemistry-wise, he's not a selfish player. He's definitely not a selfish player. He can pass the ball and fill in that role. I think that he will be a great impact player for any championship team.
I'll jump in. I'm gonna stay with the Spurs. You talked about Patty Mills. DeMar DeRozan is up for free agency, and I think he can make a huge impact as someone that can score. As you watch slowly, I think, John, you could agree to this. Real hoopers would tell you the mid-range game is making a comeback. It is the most important, intricate part of the game. Chris Paul is showing you right now, and that's where DeMar DeRozan stars at. Someone that is not to a point, almost to a fault, where he's not really willing to take threes, but he will take jump shots. There's a lot of teams that can use a two to give them 18 to 22 points a game. Not only that, he's 31. I feel like he's been written off when we talk about superstars or even stars in the league. When you look at someone like Chris Paul, who was also written off after the situation in Houston, he went to OKC, made progression there, and now you see where he's at 2 years removed. So I think DeMar DeRozan at 31 years old still has a lot to contribute. A team like his old team, Toronto, could definitely use a scorer like him. I think Philly could use someone at the two-guard position. And then that's my number one. I don't know if we have time for me to get into the other guys, so I'm going to let you go, Rob.
Yeah, I like those two pieces. I'm just going to mention these two names who could drastically change the landscape of the league. Kawhi Leonard and Chris Paul, they both have player options that they can choose to decline or accept into, so they could be free agents this year. Outside of them, I took it a different route. I think that Kyle Lowry is going to be a big domino piece for the league. When you look at different teams that could use just a bit of leadership, a bit of a steady hand, championship pedigree, that's really odd to say with Kyle Lowry, but
hey, he got one.
Right, he got one. He did his part to earn that. He's a bit of a wild card to me, just because I feel like if he's put in the right situation, he can really put a team over the top. I look at just off the top of my head, a team like Dallas. I think that if they were to get a Kyle Lowry, that toughness and his ability to take the ball handling and playmaking pressure off of Luka would be huge, and they would be able to take another step. Almost like a Chris Paul effect, but not to the leadership level. But I think he can have that type of putting people in their right positions as a basketball team and making people around him better. So I'm going to go with Kyle Lowry. I don't really have a hope for him, but wherever he goes, I'm going to watch out for that team.
All right, y'all. Real quick, we got about 2 minutes. Let's just really give a little quick synopsis on what's happening in the NBA Finals. as of right now, by the time you see this, it'll be different. I believe 2 games will be played by the time Saturday comes. So it's 2-1. Phoenix is up. Milwaukee won their game at home. Giannis has had 2 back-to-back 40-point games. What do we expect coming back into this show? Are we coming back to a game 7? Are we coming back to a game 6, or is this series going to be over in 5?
I called it, man. I already said that I got the Bucks in 7, man. Like I said that Drew Holiday is going to be the X factor. He showed it. He's proved me right. Once he's playing good at home, he's cooking up. He looks good. I think that he can continue to play that way. I think that they got punched in the mouth. They just came from a 7-game series themselves. They got punched in the mouth. And you know that crowd. I don't think people understand like the intensity in playing in Death Valley. Like it's really deafening in there. It's like I feel like I'm almost at MSG. I get that type of vibe every time I hear their game. Like they're dying for a championship. And you can hear it, and that energy does something to those players. So it's going to take some time to get used to it. But ultimately, I think the Bucks going to win.
Rob.
I will give a shout out to Giannis real quick. I did a little research through game 3s. He's averaging 34 points, 14 rebounds on 60% shooting, 4.5 assists. I mean, those are just staggering numbers. So I want to give him a little praise and say that he's definitely come to play, and really just being a dominant force. I still think Phoenix is going to win in 6. When I look at the series, it's really going to come down to 2 players to me, and that's DeAndre Ayton and Drew Holiday. Whichever one of those comes to plays that night, that team usually wins. And can DeAndre Ayton stay out of foul trouble?
Yeah, I agree with you, Rob. DeAndre Ayton staying out of foul trouble is paramount to Phoenix's opportunities here. I got Phoenix in 7. I switched over from Milwaukee. I think we went over this already last show. I don't know. I think in a game 7, fourth quarter, is Chris Middleton versus Chris Paul and Devin Booker when it comes to getting your own shot. When it comes to lock up tight defense, all the crowd on their feet. There is no more games after this. I don't know if I 100% trust Giannis. I think I do officially trust Chris Middleton in that situation, but I think 2 is better than 1. And Devin Booker and Chris Paul may have it. So I'm going to take Phoenix in 7 and stick with that. But that's all we got for basketball. We're going to come back with some football. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing to our page on YouTube, 3THW, the podcast, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Buzzsprout. We out here. Please check us out. 3 the Hallway.